Hello, it's Kelly Marie Alvarez here from Fawn, and I'm so excited to be creating a really fun video in honor of Scrapbook.com's annual 12 Days of Christmas event. I'm so excited about this event and so excited to be creating this fun wintry card with you guys. So let's get to it. So first up, we're going to be creating a standard size card. So that's going to be 5.5 inches by 4.25. I'm going to use my Teflon bone folder here to score it. Then we'll fold that, and then I'm just going to press along the crease of the card to create a really nice sharp fold because we're going to be creating a pop-up on the inside. So here I have Fawn's stitched Hillside pop-up die, and I'm going to die cut that also from some white cardstock. Now, before we start to fold this into our pop-up, I wanted to add some glitter to this. So I'm going to be using some chunky glitter that is my favorite kind of glitter and a glue tube here. And I'm just going to do a little line of glue just right along that hill. So I'll add that glue just kind of following that stitched line of the hill. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the chunky glitter and kind of sprinkle that all over. And I've got that piece of typing paper there below to pick up any of the excess. I'm going to press that glitter down into the glue with my finger, and then we'll just go ahead and lift that up and tap off any of the excess glitter, and you can see just how pretty that looks. It's so magical and gorgeous. So then now we're going to repeat the same thing on the larger hill. So I'm going to do that whole line of glue, and then I'll take my chunky glitter and sprinkle that all over. And I love that the chunky glitter is really cute for winter, but it's really cute for parties and things too, since it's got that kind of pink and turquoise in there that's just beautiful. And the colors in this glitter is kind of what's going to inspire the whole color palette for this card. I went ahead and let that glue dry, and now we're going to start folding along the score lines that the die creates for us. So there's one big score line around the bottom, and we're going to fold along that, and I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure it's a nice sharp crease so that's going to fit nicely into the card. Once we have that creased really well, we can start to work on the other folds for this. So the first thing we're going to do is take that smaller hill, and we're going to push it behind the larger hill, just like that, and that's going to fold those two lines for you. Then we're going to fold those tabs. So we're going to fold that one back and then that one back. And each of those has another little score line at the end, and we're going to fold that back as well, just like that. And now our stitched hillside pop-up piece is ready to go in the card. But first up, we have to add a little decoration to the inside of this card. So I was in a very glittery mood here, so I'm taking out some Pixie Dust Sparkle cardstock, and I'm going to die cut that with a leafy tree backdrop die. And so it's going to be this beautiful wintry tree. I wanted to create kind of going along with this winter theme and to match that chunky glitter, this kind of minty sky in the background. So I have a foam ink blending tool here, and I'm going to pick up some ink from my ink pad, from the minty fresh color there, and then sponge it onto the card in kind of a circular motion, making it darker towards the bottom and then lighter towards the top so that it fades out into white towards the top, because I want this to be very pastel-y and very kind of wintry and cool. So here you'll see we're going kind of in fast motion, adding our color on, and then now I can layer that beautiful tree on there. To finish out this scene, I've die cut the stitch tree borders from some white cardstock, and I've got it kind of on a big piece of cardstock because I wasn't sure how tall I wanted these trees to be. So I'm just going to kind of fit them under, see what looks nice in that background, make a little pencil mark, and then I can trim off any of the excess. Now, as I layered those trees over top, my mint area was kind of getting covered up, so I wanted to add a little bit more of that mint color. So I'm just going to take my foam ink blending tool and just build up that color even more. And it can be really messy towards the bottom because I know that my little snowy hill is going to cover those up. So I'm just going to keep adding that mint on there, and now that I have the perfect amount, I can start attaching my scene. Because you definitely have to attach your scene first before you add the pop-up in. So there I've got those beautiful trees, and then I can add my larger glitter tree in front. So I'm just going to add a little liquid glue to the back of that and then layer that right over. And I just love the look of this beautiful wintry scene. So now for a bit of a different look, I decided to take my glue tube and run along the edge of the hills there, but instead of using the chunky glitter this time, I'm going to use my Prisma glitter, which is a more fine detailed glitter. I'm also adding a little bit of glue onto those trees so it looks like snow has kind of fallen onto the trees. Now right here, you're going to see that I'm going to regret doing this now. I should have done this before I put the whole card together, and you're going to see why, because I made a big glitter mess. So I'm going to pat that glitter down into the glue, and then I'm going to tap off any of the excess, and you're going to see that there is glitter everywhere. And I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I took out my dry paintbrush there, and that worked pretty well to get off some of that glitter. But what worked great was a Swiffer. So I definitely recommend using a Swiffer to take off any excess glitter if the same thing happens to you and you add your glitter a little bit later than you should have. So right now it's time to add in the Stitch Hillside pop-up. So I'm going to add some adhesive all along that big, large bottom tab. And then I'm going to add adhesive to those little tabs that we folded at the top there. So just the very top of those tabs. So you can see we have adhesive along the bottom and at the very top of those tabs. So now we can work at attaching this into the card. So we're going to attach that very bottom, long, wider tab right into the folds of the card, just like that. And then we're going to work on attaching the hills to the front. So what you need to do is take that smaller hill and you're going to push it in. Then you're going to take those tabs and you're going to push those in completely flat. So we're going to repeat that one more time. So we're going to take the whole hills and we're going to have them laid down flat against our card just like that. Then we're going to push our smaller hill in and then we're going to fold our tabs completely flat just like that. Then we can close our card and just press down. And by doing it this way, it's going to attach those tabs in the perfect placement every single time. So now that we're pushing down really well, we can open up the card and now we have these amazing pop-up three-dimensional hills that I just love. So next up, we're going to be using one of my favorite new stamp sets, and that's Winter Skies, and they're so adorable, and my favorite are the bears because they're sharing a scarf, and it's so cute. So I'm going to be stamping these out in some jet black ink, which is Copic friendly ink, which is perfect because I'm going to be using my Copic markers in just a little bit. And I'm also using my stamp chamois to clean these off. So I'm going to stamp my other cute little bear there, and then I'll go ahead and use that stamp chamois to clean off any of the excess, and I can put my stamp right back and be ready to go. So here I have my markers, and I'm going to be using some warm grays for my bears because I really want them to be white polar bears, but I don't want to just leave them plain white. I want them to have a little bit of something. So I'm going to use these warm grays, and I'm going to be blending them out with that colorless blender so that they kind of go out into nothing towards the middle of the bears. And I'm adding my shading kind of around where that scarf layers on the bear, and then around the little feet and his little tail. And you can see how cute that looks where they look white, but maybe just a little bit dirty, like there's a little extra something going on. So we talked about being inspired by that chunky glitter that had a little pink and a little turquoise, and that's the colors I'm going to do for these scarves. And so I'm using the colorless blender here once again, so I can blend it out almost into nothing to keep my coloring really light. I have a tendency to be a little heavy-handed with my markers, so I kept reminding myself, don't color too much, use that colorless blender. And now you can see how pretty that pastel pink and that pastel turquoise looks. So here I have the coordinating dies. I'm going to hold those in place with some Post-it note tape, and then I'll run them through my die cut machine, and I'll have cute, perfectly cut out little bears ready to put on my card. So to attach my bears to my card, I want to be very careful and only add my tape runner along the very bottom because we don't want the top of the bears to stick to the card as we close it. So I've got tape along the very bottom of the bears, and I'm going to attach those onto my hills, and you can see how cute that three-dimensional scene is looking. So now that we've done all this fun work decorating the inside of the card, it's time to decorate the outside. And so I'm going to do the same type of scene but make it a little bit simpler on the outside. So we're going to add that minty fresh ink, kind of letting it blend out into white at the top. We're going to die cut our stitch tree border from some white cardstock once again, and we're also going to die cut that leafy tree backdrop from the Pixie Dust Sparkle cardstock. I've made a little mark and I'm trimming off any of the excess of those white trees, and there you can see just how cute that's looking. So here I have winter Scripty sentiments, and I love the script in this so much, and I thought it would be really pretty for the front of the card. So I'm going to use my Misty tool here, and I'm going to line up my trees and my larger tree, and then I'm going to line up that stamp where I think is going to look really nice. And then I can use that Misty tool to make sure I stamp it nice and straight and in the perfect place. I'm stamping it with that same minty fresh ink, but I'm going to double stamp it so that it's a little bit darker so that it stands out from that sky that we ink blended earlier. So now you can see it's a little bit darker and it looks really, really pretty. So I'm going to use my liquid glue there, and I'm going to attach my trees to my larger leafy tree backdrop. And then I can take my liquid glue and add that on the back of that whole thing, and then we can attach that to the front of the card. And I love that it gives you a hint as to what's inside, but on the inside you have the surprise of the pop-up and also those cute little polar bears. I wanted to finish off the inside of the card, kind of continuing the sentiment. So I have this here from Simply Winter Sentiments, and it says, "And a Happy New Year." And I'm going to stamp that out in some Ballet Slippers ink to go along with the pink scarf on the smaller polar bear. And now you can see how fun it is that the sentiment extends to the inside. So we have warm winter wishes and a happy new year. And then you have the awesome surprise of that pop-up. I love the soft colors for winter. It's so beautiful, so glittery and fun. I had so much fun making this card and I cannot wait to send it to someone because I just know it's going to make their day. So thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!